Welcome to The Original Fisherman. Here's a little bit of what I do. This is an Abu Garcia Ambassador. It's pretty dirty. There's not really anything wrong with it. It just needs a little bit of a cleaning and tune-up. A lot of cleaning. First, we're going to need to take the line off. I'll speed this up for you. There we go. Now we have the line off. I just need to get the knot taken off of there now. It's pretty tight. May have to use some special scissors to get it off. Now that we got that done, let's take a look at the reel. A few things that need to come off so we can clean it properly. These 3 screws here. This will be the non-crank side of the reel. But be careful when you take these screws off, because they're little tiny plastic pieces that kind of separate the screws from the housing. Don't lose those. Now carefully, we're going to pull the frame out. And you'll see there's the clicker assembly. It's very dirty. Looks like salt water or sand. Carefully pull out the clicker assembly, and you'll notice there's a little crank wheel in there as well. Let's pull the spool out and see how dirty this spool is. It's pretty nasty. Yuck. Right here you'll see the balancers. They pretty much keep the spool running smoothly so that you don't have any shakes or wobbles in your reel. Don't lose those. They're very small. Let's take a look at the inside. It's pretty old grease. It's pretty dirty. When I started looking at it, it had a lot of grit in it, which was probably from salt water or sand. We'll get that cleaned out. The crank feels good. It doesn't feel terrible. It does feel a little bit gritty, so it'll need to be cleaned as well. Let's go ahead and take the handle off. It's only 1 screw for the cap. Then you're going to have to take the nut off. And carefully pull the handle off. You'll see there's like a spring washer underneath. We'll pull that off and set it to the side. Then we got to take the drag crank off. This is the spool tensioner. Now, there are a bunch of screws there. It's kind of going fast, but the 3 outside screws are the screws you want to take out. This will remove the entire crank housing away from the frame. We've got the worm gear and the guide. We need to pull those out. It's very tricky, so be careful. It's not like the normal ones. This one actually has a pin that you have to remove before you can pull the pawl out. Very carefully pull that pin out. I sped this up to make it a little faster. Don't lose that piece, it's very small. And get some little needle nose tweezers, and we're going to kind of work it out slowly so it comes off. Now we can pull the worm gear out. This is the worm gear. It's covered in salt and sand. It's very, very dirty. This causes a lot of issues with your reel. If this breaks, this is kind of a costly replacement part. So it's important that we get this cleaned up. This is the little thumb guard. We're just going to take it off so we can get it cleaned as well. There's 2 screws on either side. Once you get those screws out, it should just pop right off. That's pretty nasty. Now we're going to take apart the clicker assembly, which has also got a wheel that kind of helps guide the worm gear. I'm going to pull off this little C-clamp here. And this is plastic, so be gentle with it. No need in removing the spring set right there. You just need to clean it, brush it, and then re-oil it. Q-tips work great. They can fit into small places. So we're going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit. We've got that little side piece. It's cleaned up really nice. It's shining. You got all the sand and grit out of it. Now we're going to oil up where that little gear goes. You've got to put it in the right way. That gear kind of assists with the way the spool turns, and it also helps the worm guide go back and forth correctly. We're going to put the C-clamp back on so it stays in place. Just snaps in there. Make sure it's spinning freely. It's got some oil in it. And we oiled up that spring assembly for the clicker. So now we got the pawl and the guide itself for the worm gear. We'll pull the pawl out very carefully. It's a small piece. It's stainless steel. And that's the guide. It's pretty dirty. It's very important to keep your guides clean. That little blade right there is a half moon shape. If it chips off or breaks, with sand or grit that gets inside there, it can really cause some problems. When we got it all cleaned up, we need to get it put back in. We have to put the worm gear together first, but let's get this cleaned up. And now that we've got it all cleaned up, shiny, a little bit of stuff on there, we'll get that wiped off real quick. We got to re-grease it. That's nasty. We need to clean that up first. Alright. Got the guide tube. It's all cleaned up and ready to go. Got it all greased up, and let's get it all put back together. I did skip a couple of little pieces, basically the main crank housing. That'll be for another video maybe. Here's the reel completed.